I
the
believe in
United States
Chinese social media sites already the talk is that people are saying that if America could do this, it's about time that we go and occupy Taiwan and all the islands that we have been threatening and we've not really taken action. What's stopping you now? This is the kind of conversation which is happening in Chinese social media sites.
Yeah, social media, as you know, social media might say whatever it wants to. But
China will do when it has to.
Yeah, but I don't think China has ever been restricted or restrained by what international law says. Number one. Number two, I think as far as Taiwan is concerned, it doesn't consider that to be an issue of international law.
But so why give only China a bad name? America doesn't care either.
Yeah.
They went inside Vietnam, they went into Korea, they've gone into Venezuela, they've went into Iraq. I can't even, if I start naming, or we talk about European powers, they are colonial powers, they did it too. So if in 2026 we are discussing China not having any, respect for international law, none of the other Western powers who lecture us Asians have any respect either.
Okay, 2 points there. China is the new kid on the block. Okay, it is now flexing its muscles. It is now reaching out and sort of, wanting to have its place in the sun. As far as all these European countries, you are very right. You know what Belgium did in Africa, what all the other colonial powers
Portugal did in Goa.
Not
Portugal.
Smita, let's face it. Portugal and Spain in 15th century were more powerful than the United States and Soviet Union of the 20th century.
But look at their size and look at China.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So,
okay,
it's a seafaring nation, so yes. Okay.
Again, you'll be surprised that in 1494, what is called the Treaty of Tordesillas, the Pope divided the world into two parts. One half will belong to Portugal, the other half will belong to Spain. So that is how, of course, there were other maritime powers like the United Kingdom and France, which did not agree with it. But that was the fiat, that was the diktat of the Pope in 1494. That sort of thing, at least in our world, today it doesn't exist. But the other point that I want to make is that those colonial powers were at that time before the Second World War. Before all this rule of international law, international order, etc., they did not exist. There was no United Nations. At that time, it was only sort of, concert of Europe, spheres of influence. That is, and Mr. Trump is trying to take us back to that era. But as far as China,
Might is right.
Might is right. As far as, and you have your own
sphere of influence.
Spheres of influence and have your own associations. And
will he
linkages.
Allow China to have its sphere of influence or no, not at all?
I think as far as Taiwan is concerned, because that is the issue that we were discussing, if you permit, I will just make one point there because that's a very important issue that you had raised. I don't think it is international law. I think it is the military balance in the interstate relations, in China and Taiwan, that when it finds that it has that dominant power, that it is, and also when it is not reasonably certain, but quite confident that America is not going to intervene. At the moment, there is still that strategic ambiguity. Will America come or will it not come?
Let's take a bet. I don't think America will bother.
Yeah, but
that's a sad part.
Yeah.
But the reality, I think, is that they've got other priorities.
You gave a prefix, I don't think. Yeah. Now, the Chinese will not work on that. The Chinese want absolutely foolproof because they know that, number one, if they try to sort of, get... Taiwan is also how many, 30 million people or so? They are also, and they are well provided with American weaponry, very sophisticated American weaponry. And Japan, Madam Sanai Takaichi has said what she had to say, that if there is attack on Taiwan, how Japan also could get involved. So I think these are all question marks in front of China, why it is sort of, holding back ongoing. Not international law. International law, China has violated many times when its national interests are involved. Just to give you one example, in the South China Sea, Philippines took China to the Permanent Court of Arbitration. That ruled totally against China, completely rejected its claims that it has that 9-dash line, 2,000 kilometers from China, all that sea belongs to China and freedom of navigation. That's how Quad came up in 2017. It was revived in 2017. So China, against the UNCLOS, the UN Convention on Law of the Sea 1982, it has occupied all those islands which don't belong to it under UNCLOS. They belong to Vietnam, they belong to Philippines, they belong to others. But it is complete violation of international law. So I think in the case of Taiwan, it is definitely not international law. It is when it feels that it is powerful enough to be able to occupy. So at the moment, what it is doing is, without any kinetic violence, it is trying to launch these pressures by trying to tell, give this signal messaging to Taiwan that you don't have any way out but to unite with China.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा।
The issue is, टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है कि संविधान खतरे में है।
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दो?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब।
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप।
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI, it does not lie.